Hi everyone. Today we have Ashley Maile on our call, and he's going to be sharing how he has a background in MBA, went on to do a management buyout of a company, and then exit that company when he didn't like what was happening with the politics and the way the culture had changed. And so then started a coaching business while he was finishing up his time there, and then since going full-time in coaching business has grown it to 136,000 per year in just 3 months. So Ashley, it's great to have you with us today.
Nice to see you, Xander.
Brilliant. So I just want to start, I really want to get to the coaching stuff in a second, but I'd love for people to understand, your background, where you came from in terms of, how your initial education and your MBA, because I know it's a fascinating story. So can you just share a bit of your background pre-coaching?
Yeah, started off as an engineer, so sort of went down the apprenticeship route, and then sort of as I progressed, decided I wanted to do an MBA, like a lot of people do, and decided I needed to put stuff into practice. So I went to work for Pepsi Cola, which I'm sure most in the world have heard of. Great company, learnt a lot, loved every minute there. And after spending some time there, I went to become a factory manager of a chilled food company. Totally different type of organisation, different industry, very fast-paced sort of organisation as well. And then got approached to go back to my original engineering company where I'd done my apprenticeship to go and work for them as an area manager. So couldn't resist, went back. It was great, loved it there, loved the owners, but the owners were getting to a point where they wanted to slow down. So myself and 3 others approached them, 2004, approached them with an MBO in a plan on what direction we wanted to take the business. And they accepted, which was great. And as I say, the rest is history. We purchased the company 2004. We took it from about 6.6 million to a turnover of about 21 million in 2019. Built a brilliant business, highly profitable. We took it from around about £145,000 per annum profit figures to in excess of 2 million. So it was no surprise, I suppose, that we ended up getting acquired by a private equity company. We got acquired in 2017. I spent two years with private equity, very different approach, different focus. Which I kind of expected, but realised very quickly that it wasn't me, wasn't what I was about. I knew kind of where my skill set and where my excitement come from. So decided to exit that organisation after a couple of years, and decided business coaching was where I wanted to go. I wanted to sort of get back to working with the kind of companies that were similar to the ones that we had and how we built it, and sort of help these people shortcut what we done. We took years to achieve what we achieved, but looking back, we could have done it a lot quicker, a lot smoother. So I thought, right, that's it. Let's go and do a business coaching and help these people. There was only one problem with that, Xander.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to be a business coach.
Well, great. We'll get to that in a second, because you certainly do now. So one thing I wanted to ask about is you mentioned it wasn't really you and that the excitement had gone. Can you just share a bit more about that? Because I know a lot of people who are interested in thinking about, starting something while they're still in their job. They may be having similar problems either with the corporate world or within financials. So can you just share a bit more about what you actually mean by that?
Yeah, it was, it's a different environment, and there's no right or wrong about it. It is just different. And what I found is very quickly that the kind of private equity world is focused on shareholder value, EBITDA, long-term sort of cash, all this kind of stuff. And I know that's really important, especially important because we ended up being like £150 million business. So I understand why it's important, but it felt like it was at the expense of the people. It was at the expense of the culture. And, we were strategically sort of what I'd call nailed on. We knew what we wanted to do. And it felt that in the private equity world that the sale was more important than the client and more important than the strategy. And I just wasn't enjoying that. I liked I felt that as a smaller organisation, as a family-owned sort of 5, 6, 7 million pound business, I actually felt that we were a bit smarter. We kind of was getting more bang for our buck. We knew what we were doing. Private equity becomes a little bit more like a gorilla with a machine gun. They kind of want sales, they want cash, and they want profit. And I know there's a place for that, and I know that's very much what a lot of the sort of private equity process is. I just realised very quickly it didn't match what made me tick and what got me out of bed in the morning. So,
right. So it was kind of shifting to much more corporate.
Yeah, very.
To it.
Yeah, very, very corporate. Very kind of bureaucratic, systemized. I suppose very sort of politicized as well, because it were, there were 8 organisations that had all been kind of smashed together without any really one overriding culture. So there was quite a lot of politics in play. Yeah, I was so much more used to a teamwork environment where everybody knew what direction they were going in, and I just felt that I was working in an organisation where everyone was pulling in different directions, and kind of wanted a little bit more out of my career and my business life than that. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And so when you actually thought, okay, this isn't what I want to do, this isn't exciting me anymore like it used to, what was the journey you went on? Did you immediately know business you go, or did you look at a few different? How come to that decision?
Well, so I always like a plan. I always like a strategy, and I kind of sort of started looking around, and I thought, do you know what? I can help people here. I've learned a lot, got some fantastic successes under my belt. I kind of know what type of people I want to work with. I'm going to go into business coaching. So I went down the sort of normal route. I looked at a couple of franchises, some sort of very sort of well-known franchises, delved into them a bit. Didn't really like what I saw, if I'm honest. I kind of felt that my experience.
Sorry, actually, my battery thing has just come out a second.
No worries.
Just fell out. There we go. I'm back with you. You didn't like what you saw?
Yeah, I didn't like what I saw. It kind of felt a little bit smoke and mirrors, and I just felt that a lot of the experience and knowledge I had sort of superseded the kind of set out sort of processes and frameworks that these franchises were offering. So sort of made a few notes as I went through, and one name kept popping up a few times. A name that you're probably familiar with Xander, which is Pam. So I noticed that I had Pam's name in a notebook a few times, and I thought, I'm going to track her down. I'm going to have a chat with her, see what her experience was, and tracked Pam down. We had a chat. She then explained what she was doing in the coaching world, and that she'd started this business coaching academy. And I thought, right, that's it. That looks exactly what I'm looking for. So I signed up with Pam, and obviously yourself as well. But I'd done that kind of the November. I'd kind of done that 6 months before I left my role. I wanted to put in the work and the effort, try and get everything ready. It's quite fashionable now to call it a side hustle, Mr. Gary V. But it weren't a side hustle. It was just me preparing to exit my business. I knew what I wanted. It wasn't a hustle. It was just me absolutely putting something in place. So when I exited my business, I knew exactly how to go out and sort of deliver what I wanted to. I was leaving in the March, and I kind of wanted to build a coaching company as quickly as I could, and get a number of clients on my book as fast as I could, because I like to be busy. I like to be working with people. So 6 months of work with you guys got me ready for a March exit of my business.
Fantastic. And we're going to get to that in a second. And you've done incredible, the results that you've managed to achieve. Before we get to the results, I just want to talk about, because you mentioned, the very first answer you shared, the background, the last thing you said was, but I didn't know how to be a business coach. Yeah. So what was it? The fact that you'd acquired all these skills and expertise, and you had that that ability there. What was the biggest challenge you were facing? What did you feel was missing? Why you wanted to come and work with us, join the programs, be part of the community?
I needed that framework. I mean, it's kind of, you know, I'd done a lot of things. I'd achieved a lot. I'd made a lot of mistakes as well, which was one of the real key things I think that I bring to the party. You know, we had a fantastic 5 years, but probably bumbled along for the 6 years prior to that, and that's where I learned the most. And I thought, I don't want to go through that kind of process when I'm coaching with people. So where is the framework of how to apply my knowledge? You know, how to sort of package that knowledge up so you know where the start point is, and you know how you can add as much value as possible. So, and I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. There's clearly a lot of high level coaches out there, people doing great jobs. So it didn't have to be the Ashley Maile framework, and that's not really what I wanted to get out of it. I wanted to be just a really good business coach. So that's what I had to look around at. I looked at all the different frameworks, the different approaches and the setups, and most I just found outdated. I mean, most wouldn't have even survived in the kind of late 90s in the world of PepsiCo. And then when I found the Business Coaching Academy, it just felt fresh. It looked like it was sort of relevant is a good word. It felt really relevant, and I felt that I could apply it, and it worked. And what I really like about the framework is it's not rigid. You know, there is an element where you can adapt your own style and your own experience within it, and that was absolutely essential for me. I mean, one of the frameworks that franchise frameworks I looked at was so rigid. I just thought, I can't work like that. That's just not enough in there. Where what I find with the Business Coaching Academy, and especially sort of how we sort of work with it, and how Pam is and yourself is, Xander, you can tweak it as you go along. So you pick up this framework, you apply it, and you can look what worked and what didn't work. And then Pam's usually somewhere in the background saying, how did that go? And if it didn't go quite right, you discuss on how you're going to tweak it. And then the next time you turn up in front of a client or even a new client, you just think, this is working. This is allowing me to function. And I didn't want to waste time developing my own framework. To be honest, I wouldn't really have known where to start, Xander. I'd have had a good go at it, and then I'd have spent 80% of my time trying to develop a framework and 20% of my time coaching, and that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was finding that framework that worked for me. That was, you know, relevant, modern, but had a level of flexibility in it, so I could be the kind of business coach I wanted to be.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we definitely, the way we try and design it, it's flexibility within a framework, in essence, so you can tweak it. And I know that some of the things you've created, you've actually taken what we started with and made it even better. But because it was already 80% done, that's really what we like people to do, is go off and add that, the flair or the things that they want and their style and what they find working with clients, you know, and what works with their particular industry and things like that. So that's fantastic that you did that. And I understand that once you had that framework in place, you know, you're still not at the point where you've fully exited your business. You're now getting ready in that stage between November and March of starting to actually work on getting clients, but also while you're doing your job. So you're preparing, ready to leave. But I understand you had some barriers. So the first clients you reached out to were people within your network. Can you share about that and just your experience with those initial first clients? I know you had a quick start. So can you share that?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite interesting because my first sort of handful of clients that I picked up were people that I'd worked with and that I knew. And I would say probably knew a little bit more than just on a professional level. Many of them have become sort of friends and colleagues and what have you. So as I left, I mean, one of my first clients was the managing director of an organisation that the private equity company had purchased, and he exited the business, and I sort of took over from him. And then when I went into coaching, he decided that I'd make a really good business coach for him, which was superb. But I did find barriers to that. I did find pricing barriers to that. Like when I knew people, And when I kind of knew what they can afford or knew what challenges they were facing, that I found it at a psychological level quite difficult to probably charge them the true value of the coaching that they were getting. On one hand, that was okay. It gave me a nice sort of steady lead into the coaching. But as Pam often says, you get to a point very quickly, if you're not careful, that you've got so many sort of low cost clients on your books, you don't have room for the high value clients. I didn't have too many of them because Pam wouldn't let me. But it was really good in one hand to apply the framework. On the other hand, it does limit your earning capability because it's probably a little bit more kind of ego driven to help the people that you know rather than it is business driven. If I'm totally honest with myself.
So once you had like that initial, you had the first clients, I know you then went on to actually get people that you didn't know following the system and started to increase the prices.
Yeah.
So can you share more about that?
Yeah, I think so. Once you build a bit of confidence up, that's a key thing, getting confidence up. And the framework and the kind of involvement from the sort of coaching group that you have going is a big key to that. You get a little bit more confident, and then also you don't have the psychological sort of barriers of it being people that you know. You start to realize what your value is, and it's always price versus value. So are you pricing your product at the true value it's given to a client? So all of a sudden charging sort of £2,000 a month for a sort of business growth package for your client feels comfortable, and it feels really good value for money from both sides of the table. So very, very quickly, and I mean, I've not been coaching that long already, but very quickly I realized that I had greater value to, especially where my focused marketplace was, I had greater value to them. They spotted it because of the experience in the track record and the professional feel of when you turn up with a framework. They know it's this isn't a mentoring kind of catch-up session. This is proper business coaching with a plan and an action. All of a sudden, £2,000 a month for a coaching session is really good value for them. And for you, it's you're starting to charge what you're worth. And I definitely didn't do that at the beginning. It definitely took me to build up to doing that.
Yeah, you got a few clients, and then we said raise your prices. I think you went from 600 to 1,200,
yes,
and a few more clients to 1,500, and then to 2,000.
Yeah, exactly that. I only took one client on at 600. As I said,
wouldn't let you do.
I said to you before, Pam wouldn't let me take another one on. And then my next couple of clients were at 1,200. And then the next client was kind of 1,500, and then it was. I can remember having a conversation with Pam that I was putting a proposal into a company, and she said, "How much are you charging?" I said 1,500, and she said, "Why are you not charging £2,000?" I went, "There was no reason." And Pam always gives you this speech of it's your what you charge it is probably what's between your two ears. So I put a proposal in with £2,000 in. Client didn't blink. Client was happy. Thought it was great value. I thought it was great value from my end, and so that became my price point.
Brilliant.
And hopefully, as time goes on, and I build a successful track record within coaching, that £2,000 will increase to £3,000 to £5,000. That's clearly the aim of, I suppose, of any business coaching organisation. So yeah,
exactly. And I know as well, not only did you do that kind of ladder, how we say, to build that confidence and start getting paid more and more and more as you're getting those clients, and you've signed a number of £2,000 per month clients now, but also you've chosen a different way to go about kind of how you structure it. You've decided, you're only going to work with them a few hours a month, all bunched together. So can you share about that and what the thinking was behind that flexibility in your schedule?
Yeah, so what I do with my clients, I call it a sort of monthly business growth package. So what I generally do is I'll have a sort of monthly session. Those typically last around about 3 hours. To be honest, I'm not overly specific on the timing of those. If they're 2 hours, great. If they're 4 hours, it's not a problem. But I aim for 3 on the basis that we'll get a really good action plan together, get some sort of really good business analysis and discussions underway. But then always make sure that the 90-day plan is populated at the end of it. And then what I do is I use an hour catch-up session mid-month or at midpoint, just where we review the 90-day plan. So we'll have a monthly coaching session, and then we'll have an hour's catch-up at mid-month with a view to saying, how's that plan going? Are there any obstacles? Is there any guidance that you need on it? And just make sure that those actions are getting completed and that they're sort of high up on the agenda. I'm very results sort of orientated, so that the thought of having a monthly session, agreeing an action plan, turning up the next month and nothing's happened on that action plan, it wouldn't work for me as a coach, and then they wouldn't be getting value out of that either. So kind of built in this mid-month catch up, but it's purely focused on the actions that we agreed at the previous session. You know, are they happening? Are there any obstacles? Is there any guidance or support you need to achieve those action points? So that's typically my coaching package now. As I move on, it's been very popular. So it's that kind of 3-hour monthly session, 1 hour 90-day catch up.
Brilliant. And can you share about the number of clients you're working with and their kind of, culture and size and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm currently working with 7 clients in total. They all generally have the sort of same kind of environment, because there's some different industries. I'm very focused on the engineering sort of business owner because that's what I know. But I've got a number of different types of businesses in there, but they're all business owners, they're all running an organisation where they kind of wake up in the morning and worry that they've got enough cash in the bank to pay the wages, and they are probably their own marketeers. They're probably turning over 3 million, 4 million, 5 million pound per annum, so they don't have an extensive management structure in place. And they tend to be, in a very kind of E-Myth type way, they tend to be the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, which is usually your biggest challenge as well, to be honest, getting them to understand the difference. So they're probably doing a lot of their marketing themselves, a lot of the sales themselves, and they're the people that's trying to drive a particular culture into their business. And they'll have between kind of 50 and 100 employees, but they'll know the name of every single one of them. They'll know who they are. They'll know who they're married to. So every business decision they make is they're trying to build a brilliant organization. They want a great company, rather than just be as big as they can. And that's typically the type of client that I find migrate towards me. They don't want to be £100 million business. They want to be a £6 million business that they have 100 employees that absolutely love working for them. And that's generally the type of client that I'm picking up.
Brilliant. And that's led to, so you started in March, so that's like less than 3 months ago.
Yeah.
At the time we're talking about this. And where are you today with your results of where you've got your coaching business to at this point? Because I know you have other clients that are coming back after things with COVID as well. So where are you at the moment? Well,
in numbers terms, at about £136,000 per annum in terms of coaching fees, which, after 3 months, I'm extremely happy with. I've got another couple of clients who I am coaching with at the moment, but due to sort of COVID-19, where they've had to pretty much close down, I'm helping them through that sort of COVID period to make sure that when they open their doors again, they're sort of ready to fly. So what will happen there is post sort of COVID, they'll come back on as a paying client. So you've got 2 of those clients. I kind of felt that my diary allowed me to have 2 non-paying clients, and that was okay. But I did limit it to that. You need to make sure you don't become a busy fool. But so within the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks, those 2 clients hopefully will come on board. So then all of a sudden, I am sort of hitting around the sort of £160,000 per annum sort of coaching fee mark, which, if I'm honest, was my first year's target. I thought if I can hit 165k turnover per annum for my first year, then I'd have felt that I'd done a really good job, and it looks like I'm on track to do that. What's also interesting as well is, I think if you're in the right place at the right time, post sort of COVID, post the kind of economic turmoil, there is a lot of organisations out there looking for assistance. So on one hand, I thought, I started to coach at the worst time possible. You know, I left my business on February the 29th and started my coaching business on March the 2nd. You know, within days, the world was on lockdown, and I thought, what on earth am I going to do? But there are a lot of really good business owners out there that realise they'll bounce back from this, and they want some assistance to do that as effectively as they can. So yeah, on one hand, I thought, my God. On the other hand, it's turned out actually to be a really good time to start coaching. Really good time to start coaching.
Brilliant. Yeah, you know, there's always the opportunities. It's just having the system to go and do that, and to be able to go and
I think that's a really good point on you know, we talk about the coaching framework and everything's under, but what we've not really touched on is the fact that the sort of coaching academy that you guys have got teach you how to win a client as well. It doesn't just teach you how to be a good coach. It kind of teaches you how to win a high value client and keep them. And you know, that's kind of what I teach companies to do. How I've done that as a business coach was kind of, I don't know how to do it. So that framework and that knowledge of how to sort of win a client, keep a client, you know, it's been invaluable. It's been really good, really, really helpful.
Brilliant. And I know, you know, a lot of people who are thinking about maybe starting a business online or stuff like that, they're looking at all kinds of different things, or people are talking about funnels and technology and stuff like that. But I understand you've got to 136,000 and you don't even have a website, just following the process that we share.
I will. I'm working on it. I've been a bit too busy coaching, if the truth be known. But no website yet. I've been pretty effective with LinkedIn. I kind of was on LinkedIn anyway, but what yourself and Pam taught me, especially with a lot of the messaging and everything, was how to be more effective with LinkedIn. So that knowledge has helped me in the first instance. Ideally, I'd like to be 11 clients. That's the number. The sort of messaging in the website and the funnel will probably come in to help me get the final sort of 3 clients into the business. But no website, nothing fancy at the minute. Just a little bit of smart thinking and a lot of hard work. And yeah, the clients are there. Especially for me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's just, as an engineer and looking for engineering people, LinkedIn's massively, massively powerful. But I used LinkedIn. I didn't really know how to market myself on LinkedIn or what the messaging is. And that's what part of the framework also is giving you. It challenges your messaging and how you use it and that kind of stuff. So yeah, nothing fancy, just some well applied rules, really.
Brilliant. And is there anything, just as coming to the last few questions, was there anything that surprised you about kind of the whole process, either your clients or the methods or just anything on your coaching journey?
Not really, no. I mean, the reason there's not really any surprises, I suppose, is because I started with you guys like 6 months before I started coaching. So I had that in place, and I was sort of listening to people and looking at your framework, teaching myself the framework, watching your videos and stuff. So there wasn't a massive amount of shock and surprise to me. The only thing is, which is a really positive thing, is that what surprises me is if you can really get your message right, so you can really show your value to a potential client, winning the client is far easier than I thought it was going to be. And I don't want that to sound kind of, I don't know, kind of egotistical or anything like that in any way. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that if you put in real hard work and effort in making sure your message is there and the client knows where you can add value, when you find a client that matches you and matches your approach and your skill set, there's kind of a natural partnership there to be had. So the barriers to winning a client once you've applied that focus, and not what you think they were. Getting clients is easier than I thought it would be.
Fantastic. And that, sorry, carry on.
I say that's the only thing. But to be fair, I did spend 6 months with you guys beforehand, so there weren't too many sort of surprises for me.
Yeah, I think what you said there is really key, because there's other programs out there where you already have to have your own framework, or you've got to develop that yourself, which takes time, and they might teach you how to build a funnel. So we wanted to make sure it was both you've got the value and the framework of how to be a coach, but also how to market. But then you even get companies out there that teach you how to market, but they don't actually ever help you enough with the messaging. They let you do it all on your own. This is why we hired, Mark, one of the best copywriters in the UK for business coaches. As a final kind of summary, is there anything that you would like to say to somebody, who's maybe watching this, who isn't a member yet, but has been thinking about it? Just that thinking about joining. Anything you'd like to share?
I mean, I can only really share my own experience, and what I'd say is, I think it's just been exceptional value for money in terms of, if you look at what some franchises want to charge for what I regard to be sort of outdated information, that the value and price point of the business coaching academy is just phenomenal. It's excellent. The barriers to joining you guys, I don't see why there should be any, if I'm honest. And I think if you want to be the best coach that you can be, and you want a resource to be able to tap into and a framework to use, I just don't understand why you wouldn't join. There's no advice really. It's kind of, if somebody wants to be a really good coach and they're sort of dithering about joining you guys, then I'd kind of really like to coach them and ask them why they're dithering, because the value is just exceptional. And there's so many resources behind the scenes. Whether it be a spreadsheet, a model, or a video. I can go into a coaching session, and if I've got a specific subject matter that I want to sort of refresh up onto, I can log onto your guys' portal and I can watch the video, and I'll go into that coaching session absolutely prepared for it. So no, I'd go for it. I did go for it. So it's kind of, there's no advice except for, stop being a barrier to yourself, really. Just get on with it and do it.
Spoken like a true coach.
Well, I am told my coaching style's direct.
Oh, well, there you go. You're following my footsteps then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ashley, brilliant. Thank you sharing your story. Excitement and then it kind of faded away with your old company and job, and then you wanted something new, and then you got yourself ready, prepared for, and that we could be part of that journey to make that transition easy, and then you could hit those high levels of hitting 136,000 per annum. And I'm really excited to see where next you're going, this trajectory. Each client that you get just becomes easier because you've got the testimonials and results. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story and your experience with other people, and for being part of our mission, to help more of these business owners who really are struggling, who can really impact the lives of all the employees out there, a part of the business. And, it's much bigger than just growing a coaching business. It's about being, the coaches that affect the businesses and the businesses that affect the employees and all their families.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you so much for inspiring and sharing your detail and story with other people.
No, enjoyed it. Thank you, Xander. It's a great framework, and I am enjoying working with you guys and enjoying building the coaching business. So, give me a call in 6 months' time. Hopefully, I'll hit them 11 coaching clients. That's the aim of it. But no, it's been good, and like I said, a lot smoother than I expected it to because of the coaching academy. It's been good.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much, Ashley, and you have a brilliant day.
Brilliant. Thank you, Xander.